Welcome to another amazing episode of Raising Private Money. I'm Jay Connor, the Private Money Authority, also your host here on the show. And this is the podcast where we talk about raising private money for your real estate deals without ever having to ask for money. That's right. It's a whole lot easier to attract money than it is to chase money. Here on the podcast, we talk about no chasing, no begging, no selling, no persuading, but attracting all that private money for your real estate deals. Well, today I've got a good friend, a brilliant friend, as a matter of fact, that has raised over $10 million himself, he and his partner, for private money. And their community, listen to this, has raised over $700 million for their real estate deals. Well, he and his partner, they've grown their real estate portfolio to over 2,000 multifamily units. And what does that equate to? That equates to $450 million in assets that they've got under management. Well, my friend and guest today, he didn't start out in real estate. He actually owned an Italian restaurant for over 20 years. And for quite a few years, he was affectionately known as the pizza guy. Well, back in 2009, he met his business partner, and they purchased their very first deal all the way back in 2013. So he retired from the Italian restaurant business and became a full-time multifamily investor. Well, he and his business partner, they have launched their own community back in 2016. It is the premier multifamily educational community, and that's where they teach others how to invest in multifamily real estate. He's a best-selling author. In fact, he just has published his most recent book that he'll talk about here on the show. And in just a moment, you're going to meet my friend and very, very successful real estate investor in multifamily, Mr. Gino, in just one moment. Right after this, we'll be right back.
If you're a real estate investor and are wondering how to raise and leverage private money to make more profit on every deal, then you're in the right place. On Raising Private Money, we'll speak with new and seasoned investors to dissect their deals and extract the best tips and strategies to help you get the money, because the money comes first. Now here's your host, Jay Connor.
Oh, my lands, Gino, welcome to the show, my friend.
Jay, thanks for having me on. What a wonderful introduction. Not many people have called me brilliant. I'll take it whenever I can get it. But listen, the show is amazing because as you're going through the entire monologue and talking about raising capital, so many things popped into my mind about raising private money. And I think the first thing, Jay, is mindset. I know you've probably raised millions and millions of dollars. And I think the difference between somebody who's broke and can't raise a dollar, like myself back in 2009, versus somebody who can do it, I really, truly believe, I think you have to start out with mindset, Jay.
Well, I agree with you, Gino. One question I get from real estate investors that are brand new to raising capital, they say, Jay, how in the world do I start? What's the first thing I do? What's the first thing I've got to understand about raising private money? And I said, I can tell you what it is. You got to own the real estate between your ears before you can start buying and selling and investing in real estate. So let's go ahead and dive in on that, Gino, about the mindset. What do you mean by that? Why is it so important? And what's some advice you can give about mindset? Before you answer that question, though, let the audience know why you are qualified to talk about what you're talking about.
It's a great question. Am I qualified to talk about the topic? I've been doing real estate for the last 20 plus years. Jake and I, we own over 1,850 units currently. None of them are syndicated. So it's all equity that we own. I've been through multiple market cycles. I've made multiple mistakes. We've created the framework buy right, manage right, finance right, which has taught our students to close on over 80,000 units. So it makes me qualified only in the sense that I'm still continuing to do it. And I think anyone who calls themselves an expert, they're going to find themselves broke sooner than later, because I don't think you can ever become an expert in any area. You're always learning and continuing to learn, coming on podcasts, having masterminds, being on shows. I'm continually learning. I don't want to be called the guru. I want to be called the duru. I want to teach people how to do it, but I want to continue to do it myself. Last year, we closed on over $25 million worth of assets. This year, we've got a 68 unit deal in the contract right now. So, I mean, if anything, when you're talking about qualifications, I think somebody who's qualified is somebody who's taught others to do it, but is also continuing to do it themselves. And as far as mindset, the first thing that people need to understand when you are getting into real estate, you are getting into any business. And I made this mistake, and I hope you take this to heart, anybody. You don't start a business to provide for your family. That's what I did. I started the restaurant business years and years ago because I had a passion for cooking and I needed to provide for my family. No, you start a business to provide value for your customer. And when you're going out there raising capital, yeah, you need the money badly. But what you need is an investor or a customer that needs value on that end. What does that mean? That means that you're going to provide them value. They're giving you $1, you're giving them a return on that dollar. And that little shift in mindset can change everything for you. You're offering them an opportunity to partner alongside you. Whereas most of these people that want to invest in real estate, they don't know how to, or they can't. And in my instance, in real estate and multifamily, the syndication model allows people to invest alongside us. And if you're raising private money for your single families, for your fixes, and for your flips, it's the same thing. Having that mindset to say, I need to create value for that investor. And how do I do that? Well, I give them a return on their money, and I continue to do that. So I think, Jay, that's really an important component of mindset where I think we should start at.
I agree with you, Gino, because, when I say I don't, here's what's interesting. I've never pitched a deal in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I never pitched a deal in my life because I haven't had to pitch a deal. I agree with you. It's all about leading with a servant's heart. My wife, Carol Joy, and I, we've got 47 private lenders right now that are funding our deals. And it's not syndication. Everything is one-offs for these single family houses. But here's what's interesting, Gino, as an example of leading with a servant's heart. And you know what I call it? I call it this. Putting on your teacher hat, private money teacher. What's interesting is not one of our 47 private lenders ever heard of private money until we taught them about it and exposed them to it. So as you said, it's all about leading with value. It's all about serving other people. It's like Zig Ziglar says, you help enough other people get what they want. We don't have to worry about ourselves. So what are some other attributes about mindset that people need to get straight before they start raising capital?
The second one, I'm glad you asked that one, is all about you. And this may sound a little crazy to people listening, but I wrote a book called Happy Money, Happy Family, Happy Legacy, because I think people have so many misconceptions about money. You need to understand what your relationship with money is. If you have a poor relationship with money, if you see money as the root of all evil, and you're out there trying to raise capital, good luck. You will not attract it. Attracting money is having that relationship with it. And for me, I'll just be specific with myself. How do you figure out what your relationship with money is? You need to go back into your childhood. You need to go back and to hear what you were hearing about from your parents, from your siblings, from the people around you. I had 2 immigrant parents, so I was raised as a person that needed to save for a rainy day, never for a sunny day, just for a rainy day. So I had a lot of scarcity. I had a lot of fear built in around money. So as I got older and got into real estate, to me, there was a lot of fear about asking people to invest in my deals. So was it going to be easy for me to raise money if I had that block, or I had that limiting belief, or I had that scarcity mindset? No, it was challenging. Only when I decided to look into my relationship with money and start chipping away at those limiting beliefs and say, is that true? Do you need money to make money in real estate? Well, obviously, our very first deal, we did a seller finance deal. So I didn't need money to make money. I just needed to know how to create value. So understanding your relationship with money and knowing that you can change it if you want. I mean, that's the reality. The reality is becoming conscious and becoming aware. And money, that journey of money is always a journey. And some parts is going to get very challenging. But what I've learned as an investor and as an entrepreneur, to me, profit is the fuel. It's not the destination. And that's what I always think about with money. Money is just a result. Money is just for me to be able to make more. And ultimately, by raising all this capital and raising all this money, what I want to ultimately do is to get some type of autonomy in my life where I can say to myself, hey, I made enough money. Do I want to work? I may not want to work anymore. That's great. That's what leads to happiness. That's what will lead to you being able to raise more capital, not being so desperate, not being so needy, but being joyful, having that abundance about money, knowing that the money you're raising is going to create impact, not only for your investors, but for your family and for the people working on your job sites and for the economy. If you bring that kind of energy and that kind of happiness into every project, you will create so much wealth for others and you will be able to fund all the deals that you have.
I love it, Gino. So when I'm raising private money and I'm teaching my community how to raise private money for single family houses, I focus on single family, you focus on multifamily. We're a wonderful complement to each other. When I'm teaching how to raise private money for single families, I actually have a 5-step process about how to go about attracting funding for your real estate deals without asking for the money. So I'm sort of putting you here on the spot because I really don't know the answer to this question, but hey, let's have fun with it. What would you say are the steps, easy steps to understand to how to go about attracting the money step by step when you are, raising capital for your multifamily?
Well, the first thing you need to understand is that real estate and specifically multifamily is a business. You are becoming a multifamily entrepreneur. So you need to learn the business of buy right, finance right, and manage right. You need to be able to speak the lingo. You need to be able to convey that confidence. So I guess that's the first step. Before you even ask for a nickel of money, you need to know the business implicitly. You need to know how to buy that asset, how to finance it, and ultimately how to manage it, whether you're managing it yourself or you're using third party. I think the next step, which is crucial, which most investors, especially beginning investors, don't understand is most people don't understand numbers and don't really care about numbers. You need to create a story or a narrative about the deal or the business or whatever you're getting into. So you need to start creating stories for yourself. Well, I was the pizza guy. Well, why did I get into multifamily? It's important to convey that to people investing alongside you. You need to create stories about yourself, stories about how and why multifamily affected and impacted your life, and then the story about what this multifamily deal is going to do for those investors investing in your deal. I think those are so crucial when you're looking at it, knowing the business, creating the story or the narrative of why they want to invest alongside you. And then down the road, when I'm looking at real estate in and of itself, I'm looking at that. Then you have to really get into the pitch decks, get into the branding aspect of it. But Jay, you have to ultimately, when you're raising capital, have the conversation with every single investor and make sure it's a good fit for them. You're selling yourself, right? There's a gentleman called Ian Altman. He wrote a book called Same Side Selling, And his acronym in the book is Finding Impact Together. So you're actually going out there and you're trying to raise the capital. You have to first and foremost make sure that the person you're talking to is qualified to invest alongside you, invest with you. Is multifamily the right vehicle? For some people who like action, who like money quickly, who really want to get a return and put their money into another deal in 90 days, well, multifamily is not the vehicle for you. So understanding that and making sure that they're qualified, that they know the risks, they know the time period, that their interests align with your interests, that will go a long way. You may get a lot of no's, but out of those no's, you can always ask, hey, Jay, not a good fit for you, but is there anybody that you know that would be willing to invest in this vehicle with me? I think those are some really important components that you can do in any investment niche, in any area that you're trying to invest capital in.
Brilliant advice, Gino. Now, one word you said a moment ago is very, very important. And that word that you said was confidence. And you also said your private lenders, your investors, they're actually investing in you. They're really not investing in the deal. They're investing in you. They have trust in you. And, one thing that I hear from new capital raisers is they say, Jay, I lack confidence and I'm just not sure how to get the confidence because here's the truth. Who is going to invest in you if you don't, first of all, have confidence in yourself and trust yourself? So what advice would you give on a new capital raiser if they're feeling like they lack confidence? How can they gain confidence?
You may not like the answer, but the reality is you need to put the work in. You need to go out there and you need to learn the business. And maybe you partner up with another investor who's a lead sponsor who has a lot more experience than you do. And you partner up on their deals and you start raising capital for their deals. And then all of a sudden you can do a couple of those. And then from there, you become a lead sponsor. It takes years. It's incredible how we send young kids out to college. They go to school for 4 years. And then when they get out of college, they muddle around for a couple of years trying to find a job and trying to get experience. They can spend 5, 6, 7 years of their life before they find something that they really enjoy. What's the harm in trying to get into this business and spend the next 12 months really learning the business, learning the lingo, going to seminars, going to meetups, meeting other people in the business, really diving in on the podcast, on the education, spending the time, walking deals, doing property tours, really inundating yourself. And this is the thing that you went back and you were talking about previously. It comes back to your identity. If you don't identify as a capital raiser and you don't feel yourself as qualified, you never will. My epiphany came in August of 2015. I was still the pizza guy at the restaurant. I'm in my shed at the restaurant. I'm moving around boxes. I've got the pizza dough over there. I've got, all these trays and tins to go. I'm putting them all aside. I'm rearranging them. And I've got the phone jammed into my ear, and I'm talking to Jake, my business partner, and we are negotiating an $11 million real estate deal. And at that moment, it dawned on me. I'm like, I'm out here hiding in the shed because I'm afraid of becoming a real estate investor. I'm afraid of identifying or adopting a new identity. And when I said to myself, that's it, I'm not the pizza guy anymore. I'm a real estate investor. I'm a multifamily investor. Everything changed for me. And I think if you understand what the identity means to be a multifamily investor, it really means to underwrite deals, to raise capital, to put deals in the contract, to talk to brokers, to do property tours. If you start identifying as the person you're trying to become, things become a lot easier. We don't lack we don't lack motivation. We lack the clarity. And at that point, up until that point in my life, I wasn't really clear on what I wanted to become, what I wanted to identify as. I sort of knew it, but I was hiding from it. And once I said, wow, this is what I want to become. I want to become that real estate investor. If you're out there and you want to become a capital raiser, you have to start identifying as one, and you have to understand what are some of the things that what they're doing. And then you have to start, as far as I'm concerned, start embracing the actions that they take.
Gino, what you just shared is so powerful. I mean, what you're talking about when you say self-identification, you're talking about is, what do I really think about myself? How do I view myself? And what also goes along with what you just said is it's focus. It's top of mind awareness. When you identify yourself as a real estate investor, a capital raiser, that automatically brings that self-identity, brings it to top of mind awareness as to how you're viewing yourself. And when you are viewing yourself as a capital raiser, as a real estate investor, then automatically you're going to take the actionable steps that actually manifest into proving that you are who you are now identifying as being. So it all works together, because what you just shared, Gino, is about how everything actually moves from the inside out, how we view ourselves, how we think about ourselves, how we identify ourselves is actually how things are going to get manifested and we actually enjoy out here. I'm so glad you brought that point up.
And Jay, if we take it another step, I had 2 advantages. The 2 advantages that I had were, number 1, my business partner, Jake, and number 2, my wife, Julia. 2 amazing people in my life. I would not be here without either one of them. Obviously, the wife supersedes. I've got 6 kids. But to make a point in business, I had an accountability partner. That's who Jake was. He is my business partner. But ironically enough, we let ourselves down sometimes. But I knew in the last 15 years that I've known Jake, I do not want to let him down. Because if I let him down, I'm letting his family down. So I worked extra hard for him. I didn't make any of these excuses. I had somebody that I could talk to when times were tough. We are our own mastermind. So if you're out there thinking that you're going to do business all by yourself, you're going to hang out, you're going to become a success all by yourself, it's possible, But number one, it ain't fun. And number two, it's a lot harder. And number three, it's always much better to have someone with you on that journey, because we do need accountability sometimes. Because sometimes we just don't want to get up in the morning. We just feel tired. We feel sluggish. We're making excuses. I haven't felt that way since I met Jake, because I know if I feel that way one day, he's not feeling that way. He never lets me down, and I never let him down. So if you're out there thinking you got to do it all by yourself, that's the wrong mindset. The mindset is, hey, go find somebody that can hold you accountable. Find someone that aligns with your values. Obviously, we call it values-based decision making. But don't think that you can do this by yourself, because real estate is, and especially multifamily, they are a team sport.
Absolutely. What I love about you, what you just said, Gino, is, for goodness sakes, God Almighty did not create us to be on an island by ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We are created to be in community, with like-minded people. And I love what you just said. What goes along with that is, when you have a win, who are you going to celebrate with? I can tell you, your friends, your family out there that don't know anything about what you're doing, they don't want to celebrate with you. In fact, they really don't want you to be all that successful, to tell you the truth, because they can't relate to it, right? But, when you've got an accountability partner or a business partner, then, man, you can celebrate together. I want to go back to one more second, to building confidence. And that was, you talked about working with someone that's already in the business. They know what they're doing. And I call that leveraging a relationship, right? Leveraging a relationship. And so you can build your confidence so quickly when you start working with someone such as Gino, Jake, their community. You want to get into multifamily, for goodness sakes, don't make the mistake that I made when I started out all the way back in 2003. I started out by myself. I was doing this thing in single family without working with somebody that knows what they're doing. If you're remotely interested in exploring the multifamily space and business, then I can tell you, Gino and Jake are the people that you want to get plugged in with, to learn it from people that know what they're doing and have already gone through the minefield. And I tell you what, if you think education is expensive, let me tell you something that is really expensive. Making hundreds of thousands of dollars in mistakes that I made because I was trying to go about this by myself. Gino, you got a brand new book that is just coming out. Tell everybody about the book and how they can get it and how they can get connected with you.
Jay, I need to follow up on your point before I promote the book, because I think it's important to hear this. There are two ways that we learn in life. You can either learn in the classroom or you can learn on the street. Now, from what I've heard from Jay's done a lot of learning in the street, and yours truly here has done a lot of learning on the street. Before I met my business partner, Jake, I had no map, I had no process, I had no framework. It took us hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn that. And if you're in the right mindset, education is not an expense, it's an investment in yourself. Now, the reason why I wrote this book, Happy Money, Happy Family, Happy Legacy, is because I saw students in our community who had no business being successful in real estate. They didn't have the qualifications. They didn't have the capital. They didn't have the credibility, own and close on hundreds and hundreds of units. And then I saw others that looked like the Brad Pitts of the world. They had everything going for themselves, and yet they couldn't close a deal. And I'm like, what's the difference? And to me, it came down to this relationship with money. It came down to this legacy component. Why are you doing it? It came down to the identity component. So many times we focus on the mechanics of the problem when we should be focusing on the psychology of the problem. And I think this book really highlights the fact that the difference between someone who's becoming successful in business versus someone who is not successful in business. And I wanted to wrap up the component of happy money. What does that mean? It's the definition of creating and getting that kind of positive energy into yourself. How do you create a happy family? Through the earning of happy money. And ultimately, a happy legacy looks like a legacy where you're going to leave your financials to your children, but not only financial, because ultimately, Jay, you know this, God owns everything, but at the same time, you want to leave the next generation in a better situation. But it's not only the money you're leaving that generation, you're also leaving them your values. You're also teaching them something and taking that into the future. And legacy is like a gardener who plants a seed, and that gardener may never see that seed grow. That's what legacy looks like. So if you want to wrap all three of those components together, I think it'll truly lead to a happy family, happy money, and ultimately a happy legacy for yourself.
And the best way for them to get the book is, what'd you say, go to Amazon?
Go to Amazon. Yep, that'd be great.
Okay, well, we're going to put, so again, the name of the book, tell the title of the book one more time, Gino.
Happy money, happy family, happy legacy.
Awesome. And we're going to have in the show notes the actual link on Amazon to get your book. Gino, congratulations on launching the new book. Thank you so much for sharing your heart. My lands, my friend, you and I have got the same servant's heart. I mean, it just oozes out of you. Thank you for bringing so much value to Raising Private Money. God bless you, Gino.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
You got it. And there you have it, another amazing episode of Raising Private Money. I need your help. Yes, I need your help. So that we can have more amazing guests come here on the show. If you would, if you're listening on your podcast platform, be sure and like, share, follow, subscribe. If you happen to be watching on YouTube, be sure and subscribe and click that bell so you don't miss out on the upcoming amazing episodes. I look forward to seeing you right here on the next episode of Raising Private Money.
Are you feeling inspired by the knowledge you gained in this episode? Then head over to jconner.com/money guide. That's JCONNER.com/money guide and download your free guide that shares 7 reasons why private money will skyrocket your real estate investing business right now. Again, that's jconner.com/money guide to get your free guide. We'll see you next time on Raising Private Money with Jay Conner.